sky's not blue.
You need to understand that when the time comes, I'm going to be taking over.
Welcome back to the Cult House Podcast. I'm your host, the Scholar of Spite and the Saturday Night Delight, Roger Riddell. Joining me today, his band's new album, Amongst the Low and Empty, is out now on Century Media Records. He is the vocalist for Signs of the Swarm, David Simonich. How are you doing today, David?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that it could all line up. I know that you were running a little bit behind because you got your ass tattooed.
Yeah, dude, I'm sitting here in misery right now, bloody cheeks and all.
You know, it's the logistics of that are it seems like it'd be a little annoying for a few days.
Oh yeah, and I'm kicking off tour coming up soon too, you know what I mean? So fingers crossed, dude.
Yeah, so I had a chance to check out Amongst the Low and Empty, and it's actually my introduction to Signs of the Swarm. So I've
hell
never
yeah.
I've never been a big deathcore guy, but like I really dig this album. I've always kind of leaned more doom and thrash and black metal, but like this feels like it's got it's a matured like deathcore sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like to think about it as like it's metal as a whole, but it's rooted by deathcore. You know what I mean? Like at least the influences, like we try to keep it thrashy, we try to keep it fast, and we, you know what I mean? Try to keep it heavy as fuck. But I would definitely say it's a really mature sound for Signs of the Swarm.
Yeah, I mean, like just from the beginning, it's just like pummeling. But then there's like on Dream Killer, there's these kind of surprises where there's the clean vocals that are layered in the chorus.
Yeah, we were trying to aim for a ballad kind of vibe with that one, you know? We haven't done something like that for Signs. And we figured with the new chapter of being a part of Century Media Records that this was probably the time to throw the Hail Mary, you know what I mean? And it ended up growing to be one of everyone's favorite songs.
Yeah, when you said ballad just now, I just kind of imagined like a deathcore. Every rose has its thorns.
Dude, that's literally the video for this shit, like that ass. Silent Hill meets Creed, dude. It's crazy.
You know, like the other thing that really kind of stuck out to me on the album were just some of the titles. Like the one that I love the most is Tower of Torsos, because it just kind of sounds like something that would be thrown out on like an episode of Metalocalypse, or like something that you would hear in a Mortal Kombat game.
Fuck yeah, dude. Literally, the title was actually inspired by a Hannibal episode. There's
Oh.
this episode where they're investigating this murderer that is killing people and making a totem pole to climb his way to kill God. And I'm like, yo, that's the hardest shit ever. Homie's trying to build a tower of torsos. And I was like, yo. Everybody,
Yeah.
like, I remember whenever Josh, our producer, saw that title, he was like, Tower of Torsos. That paints a fucking picture, dude.
Yeah, no, because like the first thing that came to my mind was like something from like Outworld or the Nether Realm on Mortal Kombat, you know?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I read prior to this interview was that you know, during the making of the album, it was like so heavy that it blew the subwoofer for producer Josh Schroeder, and then also that your manager, when he heard it, just kind of like broke down into a laughing fit because of how ridiculously heavy it was.
Dude, firstly, Josh's subwoofer, dude. That shit is engraved in my head, and it is the funniest shit that I have ever experienced in the studio because like we're all just sitting there, we're just like listening, and we're like, what the fuck happened? And we're all just sitting there, and Josh is like, so you see a bead of sweat going down his forehead, dude, and he's just like, everything's fine. And then we started smelling. We were like, no. And then the room got so awkwardly quiet. And then me being the fucking idiot I am, I whip my phone out and I'm like, yo, we just broke Josh's fucking computer. And then everybody fucking lost it, dude. Even Josh was howling. That shit was funny. But Brad, whenever he heard the Amongst the Lone Empty, he heard the kick thing and like he heard the Bobby go brr thing, fucking literally like he just goes, ha, okay. And like that, and then he just sits back and then you just see his fingers start going. That's how you know we had something good there, because fucking his fingers just fucking going on that phone, dude.
Yeah. The subwoofer thing kind of reminds me of like back when I was in high school in Kentucky. I knew a lot of people who would just like put the big subwoofer boxes in their trunks.
Interview.
And every now and then, you would just be riding around and those subwoofers would just like blow out. And it would go from just sounding like this really good thump to just being this like crackling, just like sound of heartbreak,
Dude, honestly, fucking like it was like we hit play and then it was like that's not how it's supposed to sound. And then like that's whenever like we're like looking around and then start smelling the pop, like literally fried his transformer on the inside of it. Company ended up hooking Josh up with a new subwoofer just because it was a complete fluke, as everyone wants to say. It's a fluke, but no, our shit was just hate.
Yeah, so how did you end up in Signs of the Swarm? Because I know that you weren't the original vocalist, and like I know that as we had kind of touched on a little bit ago, the genre of deathcore has really kind of like matured a lot over the last few years.
See, I joined Signs of the Swarm about it's a little over 5 years now. And there's like I call it the big vocal change of deathcore, and it was whenever CJ McCreary, or however you say his last name, fucking went to Lorna Shore, Tom Barber went to Chelsea Grin, and then I was the guy who went to Signs of the Swarm. And after like joining with the band and everything, it was, well, I'm kind of skipping a part. They kind of hit me up while I was working and I didn't anticipate like this happening at all, because like I knew about the whole big game change coming before everyone else did, because like I was in the mix of like trying to scramble. They had 2 weeks before going on a tour, and they hit me up and they were like, hey, would you want to fill in for this tour? And I was like, I ain't fucking doing it unless I get the job, because I got to quit my job and I got to change my life completely to make this happen. And they took like 2 to 3 days. And then they're like, okay, if you crush the tour, you can get the job. And then that's whenever I was just like, all right, cool. And I had 11 days to learn an entire set list, quit my job, pack my bags, and get in a van and tour across the United States with Ingested. After they didn't give me the job right after that, though. They told me I had to do 2 more, and I was like, fucking assholes, like fucking I quit my job, and they're like, you're the guy that pretty much got it, but we don't want to tell you you got it yet, because we still got some more that we got to do to get everything prepped. And so that's whenever I kind of was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna balls to the wall and fucking make sure that I get this shit. We completed Devastation on the Nation, and they offered me the job in our hometown, and I got to announce it last day of the tour in our hometown. It was a very exciting day for me. Seems so fucking long ago, like thinking about it, man. It's crazy. So much has happened, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, like as for deathcore maturing, I do believe that it's just like people taking it more seriously and people noticing that people are taking it more seriously. And I believe that we're having like a surgence where there's a chance where a subgenre is more brought up into the main light. You know what I mean? Because like obviously deathcore is just a subgenre of metal. Um, Anyone who listens to a deathcore song and knows nothing about deathcore, they can be like, oh, that death metal stuff, you know what I mean, or that
Yeah.
metal stuff. So I feel like that everybody maturing their sound kind of like falls into the line of like everyone seeing like, oh, uh the subgenre of the subgenre is blowing the fuck up. Now maybe our subgenre is going to blow up a little more, you know what I mean? And maybe people are just taking it a little more seriously. Or maybe just people are just growing as artists and they're starting to understand the craft a little bit more. Like our case, for example, we honed in on our craft, and it definitely shows from our previous record to Amongst the Low and Empty.
Yeah, because I can remember, when I first started hearing deathcore, I guess probably would have been, like late 2000s, and it was on things like Sounds of the Underground and the Mayhem Fest, and
Mm-hmm.
it all still fit in there, but you could tell that there was a little bit more focus on like different aspects of the songwriting, and it
Right.
seems like the
I feel like
songwriting, yeah,
deathcore is like more like kind of like vocal and drum dominant. Like,
yeah,
yeah, the guitar players got to rip and fucking do their shit. But like if your vocalist like doesn't have kind of a flashy flair to their vocal style or anything, I feel like that it kind of just falls into the stem of like death metal.
yeah,
But at the same time, it I do believe that deathcore is just an attitude and just a, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have the attitude to it, then it doesn't have that edge that deathcore has, you know?
yeah.
I feel like talking about that part is like kind of hard.
Because it's hard to sort of like quantify, but I know that this isn't like the same kind of like subgenre comparison, but it's kind of like you listen to like an early Corrosion of Conformity album when they were more of a punk band, and then
Mm-hmm.
you listen to a later one and like their sound kind of evolved because they evolved as artists. And so I think that, when a subgenre first kind of comes onto the scene, you end up with, it's like the very sort of like primitive like nascent version of that, but then you listen to it years later and there's more technicality and more flourish to it.
Yeah. See, like I honestly appreciate when bands do that.
Yeah,
Like Whitechapel, for example, um, starting off somatic defilement and then moving forward. You know what I mean? Fucking, um, like their sound has changed so much, and it's just because their minds have expanded so much. They've been around the world. You know what I mean? Like most people, they're just sitting in their house and just listening to the same thing over and over again. They're being exposed to so many different cultures, different arts, just as a whole, you know what I mean? Like, and like I feel like that's a really strong reflective point if you think about the evolution, you know.
yeah, no, and I think one of my sort of things that jumped out, at me just from hearing deathcore early on was that it was also right after that period of time where MySpace was big, and you had like all these
I
bands on
miss
MySpace.
MySpace. I miss MySpace, bro. Top
Yeah,
8. You know what I'm saying, dude? That fucking I remember finding so many bands. Fucking Dance Club Massacre, shout out. You guys are the shit. I don't even know if they're fucking even like still in the metal vein at all. But if you guys see this at some point in your lives, that's no, I fuck with y'all.
yeah. I mean, there were bands like that that kind of like got their breakthrough. That I remember like Job for a Cowboy being another one, and
Oh
then at the same
yeah.
time you would get hit up by like all these bands. If you had anything in your profile about being into metal, you would inevitably have a band hit you up and they would try to sell you on this idea that they were like the new Metallica or the new Pantera. And it's just kind of like, okay, but we've already got a Metallica and a Pantera. Like, why not?
Yeah. Why
Why not
don't
do
you
something
be the
new?
new you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean and that's like anytime that I like get into a new band, I always kind of like looking at different interviews with different members of the band, and sort of like it's always a really good sign if they all list different influences, because then you know that they're not all just approaching it trying to be something that's already been before.
Yeah, see, like I feel like that's a kind of a problem that we're kind of going through right now. A lot of new deathcore bands coming up and starting their careers, and they're kind of mimicking the all stars that are kind of going on right now. And I will definitely say that that is not a smart move for anyone that's listening. And if you think that you're in this category, um, I do believe that being your authentic self, being your most true self, and just doing you is going to give you the success that you want. And I could say that from experience.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no,
fuck,
that
I would have never thought that I would have been on like High Times magazine. You know what I mean? Like, fucking tell 14-year-old Dave that, fucking, I'd be like, yeah, fucking right. You know what I mean? But um, never fucking know what can happen, dude. You know,
yeah,
unless you
yeah.
try, literally.
Yeah, no, I feel like a lot of that, sort of model where you get younger bands that are basically just like mimicking what already came before. I kind of feel like that was perpetuated in a way by, in the 80s, once Motley Crue got big, you had like all of the Motley Crue clones because record labels were going to sign up anyone that sounded like that. And in the mid 90s, when
Trust.
Korn blew up, you had a bunch of like Korn Juniors that weren't quite as good as Korn, but they got signed because they sounded similar enough.
Mm-hmm. See, like, I feel like that if you really want to fall in line with the person in front of you, good luck. Um, I I don't believe that I could live my life like that. Um, which I tip my hat off to everyone that has inspired me and influenced me in every single way. But I am going to try my damnedest to do me and should try to be as authentic and organic as possible, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, nothing sounds more boring to me than just like trying to create by numbers, like just
All
using a
right.
formula. Yeah.
See, like, there's a couple songs where like we implemented the pop formula on the record, and then there are a lot of times where we're like, we've never done that before, fuck that, and we threw the formula away, and then we just ripped, you know what I mean? The song Between Fire and Stone is a prime example of that. We wanted to kind of make more of an evil sounding song to kind of hit like our Absolver fans, and we wanted a real like insane chorus, but like fucking it just didn't feel right trying to force it to happen. And then the chorus ended up kind of being like a verse that just kind of sounded similar, which is really cool and different. And it's just something that kind of just organically happened from us trying to go do something and then just saying fuck it, and then going for what we originally like, what we would originally went for, you know. It's almost like thinking too much about it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, tell me more about the High Times cover because I know you grew up in like a very weed friendly household.
Oh yeah. The High Times thing, that was literally a shot in the fucking dark, dude.
Yeah.
My awesome manager uh sent out a little like review thing about like how me and Bobby, we like smoking weed. We try to advocate for cannabis companies throughout the metal industry, talking about like aspirations of like trying to be able to be a part of these like cannabis festivals and stuff, because for some fucking reason it's only reggae and hip hop, and where the fuck are the metalheads at, dude? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a whole demographic that's kind of ignored. And I know more people in the metal industry that actually smoke weed on a daily basis versus like hip hop artists and stuff that I know. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so it kind of just like was a shot in the dark, and we fucking got it. And like I remember I was on tour with Born of Osiris. It was at the end of the night around 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking through the venue and my Twitter goes off. And I'm like, High Times. And then like it clicked. I was like, High Times. And then I go and I see it, and it's just me and Bobby smoking this fat joint inside the fucking farm that let us go in there. I'm not going to enlist it because we broke some federal rules smoking weed along inside the venue. So I'm not going to talk about who that company was, but hats off to you guys. You know who you are. Thank you for letting us come in, and thank you, Greg, for being scary Greg and fucking taking the photos and hooking all of us up, because OKC, we're we're kind of like, we're known, but we're not super known in OKC. And he was one of the people that like knew us and was like, yeah, I know a company that wants you guys to come through. And then we kind of went there, did the photo op, got the dude fucking holding my pounds like fucking cell phones, dude. It was crazy. Um, get to try like multiple strains, got to talk to the owner, told me like his growing formulas and stuff, just in case if I ever wanted to grow some stuff at home. um awesome guys, awesome guys. But the article, it just pretty much just explains like a lot of like our aspirations and how we're like, even just our like experiences smoking. Like whenever I tried smoking weed in Japan for the first time, it was like the scariest shit ever, because they catch you with a fucking joint, they're sending you to fucking prison, dude. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, you're a tourist, oh, here's a fine. No, you are fucking going to prison, bro. You know what I mean? And that adrenaline rush though. I was fucking on top of the I was on top of this like parking garage, and they rolled the smallest little fucking pinner, dude. Like I saw it and I was like, are you kidding me? And they're like, this is all we could get. And I was just like, well, can we at least like put some tobacco in it or something, make it like last a little longer, you know, enjoy it? They're like, no, has to be fast. Their English was really broken. So um friends of mine from Victims of Deception, they were people that were guiding me around and show me what's up. And we're on top of the rooftop and like, and it was like if I stopped and started talking, they'd be like, no, 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 fast, fast. And I'd just be like, oh shit, okay, smoking. And then like literally after we were done, they ran back to the menu.
Yeah.
And like I'm like fucking trying to keep up with them, like huffing and puffing and shit. I'm like, you know what I mean? They're fucking young, fucking fast as fuck, sprinting. I'm just like, oh my god, I didn't know it was gonna be like a fucking movie race out here, you know. um but yeah, we talk about like all of our like experiences just running around, um times where we got weed, times where we haven't gotten weed, um and you know, it's cool, you know.
Yeah, no, it's wild like how fast a lot of the attitudes, especially at like the state level, have changed around that in the last several years. Because once it kind of started to pick up in a few states, it feels like it kind of has been snowballing to the point that like now I think even I don't know if you've ever watched like pro wrestling very much, but
Mm-hmm.
Jim Ross, the WWE commentator, I guess he's with AEW now. He has a cannabis business now, and I'm not sure if it's like in Oklahoma where he's from or not, but like that's it's interesting that even states like that are kind of starting to loosen up on it.
Yeah, that's honestly, whenever fucking Texas changes their laws, that's whenever I'll roll over and die. You know what I mean, dude? Because uh, it's just they're so uptight about it for no fucking reason. I wish like the United States would kind of see like what we can do with the hemp industry just beyond cannabis consumption. You know what I mean? The hemp industry was fucking outlawed because of greed. You know what I mean? And those are scenarios where like we could be saving some fucking trees and making paper out of fucking hemp, but that's not a thing because fucking the paper industry is so fucking massive, and the United States is just absorbed of destroying itself, you know. And I feel like that the states are starting to like kind of be a little more lenient and stuff because they're seeing like the pioneers of this of the United States like that are doing this, California, Seattle, Portland, even like medical states like my own state, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? Like there is a lot of money that is coming in, and it like it's bringing the economy up. And as much as everybody hates to fucking admit it, weed's doing something positive for everyone around us. Way more positive than what fucking alcohol has, you know?
Yeah.
And but I'm not gonna fall into that rabbit hole because then all the Elkies are gonna be fucking like, yeah, get out of here. You know, fucking I'm gonna get a target on my back. I'm gonna get a beer can shoved in my down my throat.
Yeah, no, like I on along those lines, I remember reading a few years ago that in like Colorado, for example, a lot of the tax revenues that they've kind of gained from legal marijuana in that state have been put back into education and things like that. So
See, that's my
yeah,
prime. That's like literally a prime example of what I mean. Like all these other states are like, holy fuck, their school systems are going to become better. People are going to want to move to that state now. People are going to want to repopulate over there. They're not going to want to come to my fucking little hick town that where everybody's still living like they're in the fucking 90s. You know what I mean? And like fucking, I don't know. Sorry, I ended up
yeah.
getting in a whirlwind, guys.
I know it's an easy rabbit hole to go down because like I
I
mean I'm from
know.
Kentucky, originally where the tobacco industry is big, and the more that people have learned about tobacco over the years, like that industry has lost a lot of money just from people realizing that it's a fast road to like lung cancer and things like that. But
See,
then
I
you
can't
would
talk
think that
shit
they
because
would,
I be
yeah.
smoking mad cigs, dude. Fucking, I've been trying my
Yeah.
fucking damnedest to quit, dude. If you're young, like you're not 18 yet, and if you're fucking smoking cigs, quit now. Just save yourself. Save yourself the thousands of dollars a year and make your life stretch out 5 more years. Yeah, you may be like, oh yeah, that's the line. I don't care. I know it's my body. I do what I want to. Just just remember I said I told you so whenever you got a fucking tube up your nose and you're fucked.
Yeah. I think we
I'm
got to get you on
trying.
like a truth ad now, man.
Dude, fucking I'm trying so damn hard to fucking quit these damn cigs. It literally just be that. I am trying so damn hard. What do I do?
I read I don't remember if it was something that I read about or like I heard about it, but there was some kind of thing where like people claimed that they went to some hypnosis thing and they
Dude,
were
that
like
would be fucking
hypnotized out of it.
awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Like literally, I would any hypnotist want to fucking get me to quit smoking cigs, not weed, cigs. Fucking hit me up on Instagram. We'll work something out here because I need some fucking help. These damn Newports, bro. They got their grips on me.
Yeah, so I heard that y'all went to Mexico for the first time recently.
Dude, yes, and it was a fucking blast. Um, literally, like we get to fuck, Monterey. Sorry, I got the M. Yeah, and I'm like trying to get the rest of the words to come up in my head, letters in my head. But we land in Monterey, and then we go to this like Scarface ass house, it's fucking like 5 stories tall, in the middle of the mountains. We have this top floor fucking view, and it was absolutely breathtaking. Get to the first venue. Uh, it wasn't the best, you know what I mean? But everybody there was there having a fucking blast, and it made it a very awesome experience. Then as we moved on, um, the venue got better, the crowd got better. Once we got to Mexico City, it was like fucking insane, dude. I got to meet so many fucking people. Fuck, I forget what homie's wife's name is. She's like a superstar. Was a playboy for a couple years. Fuck, I'm gonna remember it whenever I'm eating dinner later. It's gonna fucking kill me. But anyways, yeah, it was brilliant time. Got to check out so many museums. Got to walk around the city. Went to a reggae bar. Watched some reggae artists make a music video. Um, just had a fucking ball, dude. It was great. I ate. I tried and failed the torta challenge. It's a famous YouTube challenge that's in down in Mexico City. It's a 7 kilo torta where it's got chicken, beef, hot dogs, cold cuts, fucking bacon, fucking peppers, onions, cheese. Just like literally just like massive.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna make a shirt called a Tower of Tortas sandwich. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Dude, literally, it took me and Carl, and I ate half of it, and Carl could only eat a quarter of it, like a quarter of the half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so much food that like I took it home and then I ate it for the day and a half that I have left. I will say Mexico got the shittiest weed.
Yeah.
I was genuinely surprised just because like we were same island as like the United States essentially. You know what I mean? Like fucking or same continent, whatever you want to fucking call it. But like I feel like I thought it was gonna be better. You hear all this bullshit about fucking the cartel and you know what I mean? It's like, yo, I thought your weed would be fucking sick, you know? Um, but like I will say that Mexico is nothing what I thought it was gonna be. A lot of American propaganda, I will say, fucking had me expect a lot of things that weren't really there. And I just gotta say, anyone who hasn't been to Mexico, go to Mexico. Like I was walking around in the main city by myself, watch chains, fucking Supreme bags. No one bothered me. Yeah, I'm a 6'3" fucking tattooed guy, but what's that to stop somebody with a fucking knife and stab me and rob me, bro? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that the like horror stories come from people that like kind of are looking for the problems. Because like if you're there not looking for a bad time, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like just kind of common sense, I guess. I don't know.
You
But
know, I live in Chicago and like I feel the same way about a lot of the stories that people put out there about this city. Like just the
yeah, dude,
idea that
like
it's like
everybody
awful.
was like
Yeah.
Chi Town, and it's like, oh yeah, fucking you go down this, you go down this, you go down there, fucking no, you're done for. Fucking I feel like that the whole like news propaganda thing just fucking the fear machine. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
trying to scare everybody to stay at home and just work that stereotypical 9 to 5 and just be stuck in the system and make the primary families of the world money.
Yeah, I feel like in the vast majority of cases, if you have some common sense and some situational awareness and you know what parts of, the city to not go to, you're probably going to be fine.
Yeah, dude. Like, there's times where I'm even like, I accidentally got in the wrong spot of town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's happened to me a few times. I'm just wandering around trying to get to the French fry spot in Atlanta. You know what I mean? And I accidentally went down the wrong fucking way. And then people are like, yo, you look lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I actually am. And then they help me. You know what I mean? Like, fucking if you're not a dickhead, fucking people aren't gonna be a dickhead to you, you know? You just kill them with kindness and fucking no one's gonna bother you.
Yeah. So back to what you had mentioned a little bit ago about the weed festivals, having a much larger presence of like hip hop and reggae. Do you think that there's any chance that we'll ever see like deathcore Snoop Dogg or
That's
or
me.
like deathcore reggae?
I
Like, do you
am
think we'll ever
deathcore Snoop Dogg.
do you think that you'll ever see a time where there's like, for example, a Snoop Dogg Signs of the Swarm collaboration because of that mutual love of weed?
That'd be fucking awesome. I'd love to challenge the dude to smoke off, you know what I mean? I think that I think I could put my money where my mouth is, but at the same time, he's probably blowing grams of dabs at a time just because he's got that bank. So fucking he might put me under the table, but it'd be a story worth telling, you know. Or I beat him. Shit. I outsmoked Snoop Dogg. Who knows, you know?
Yeah. And I heard that he pays a dude a salary just to roll his joints.
I actually did that for a tour before.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to our first Garza podcast, my photographer took on the additional job of the rolling guy. And literally you could just see him in the corner just rolling fat baseball bats for us to smoke to for the interview. Um, you know, we're silly. We like to come in and have a good time whenever we get to do things in person, you know. Like
Yeah.
shit, if I was at your place in your office right now, I'd be like, hey buddy, let's get goofy, you know.
Yeah, and then I think I had also heard that your background is in like welding and metallurgy, which is very
Yeah,
fitting for being in a metal band.
dude, tell me about it, right? I actually have a degree.
Oh,
A lot of people are like, you have a fucking degree? And it's like, yeah, I went to college, I completed college. Why is that surprising to you? You know what I mean? Um, like shit, like I know I come from fucking kind of the hood, but like I was trying to get out, you know, like I wanted to fucking make something of myself. And that was the only thing that me and my family knew. And like I grew up in a steel industry. I watched it collapse even as I'm going to college and trying to pursue a nice life, you know what I mean? And after I completed college and I was a foreman, and that's whenever fucking my old manager Jake gives me a call and he's like, hey, you want to try out for science and do that tour? It's there's
yeah.
a lot of times I miss it. There's a craftsmanship of being able to pull out a perfectly good TIG weld, and it just comes out to the most perfect gold hue. It's just something about it, dude. And then the smell of argon in the morning. Oh, so beautiful. Just like the only thing I don't miss is the grinders. I fucking hated that shit. Like fucking one time I got fucking, I don't know if you can see that. I got a grinder literally into my hand while I was at work. And during this time period in my life, I obviously couldn't smoke weed. So I did. And of course, that Monday, I fucked myself up. Dude, like I had this like huge, I had like, it was like all the way into my bone where
Yeah.
like it ground into, and like my pinky's like hanging there, dude. And I'm just like, and like I didn't know what to do. So like I literally grabbed the paper towel, wrapped it around my hand because I couldn't lose my job. I just bought a brand new car. I just moved into an expensive apartment that was like on a super, super crazy fucking contract lease. I was just like, I can't lose my job. I can't go get drug tested. I wrapped my hand up, grabbed some duct taped it, and I shoved it in a fucking glove and went back to work for 6 hours.
Dude, that's
Go
insane.
home, and it was literally pitch black. And I called my mom, and I was like, dude, I fucked up. And she was like, what? I was like, I literally almost cut my finger off, and like it's like hanging here and it's like black. She was like, go to the hospital. And she was like, just tell them you did it in the garage or something. And I was just like, all right. I go there, and they're like, dude, you're literally in your work clothes. And I was like, this didn't happen at work, I promise. And then I go to work and I tell them, like, hey, I fucked myself up. And long story short, they're like, look, you have to report this under the company. We got it on camera, you running down the fucking factory, fucking blood pouring out of your fucking hand. Um, they didn't drug test me. Luckily, I got to get workman's comp for like a couple months. That was pretty cool,
Yeah. Dude,
you
I
know,
knew a
but
guy in the who was in the military who was like an engineer, and he did something similar where he accidentally took off like two of his fingers, but they were able to reattach them.
to see that's lucky. My instructor, fucking, he showed me his battle wounds because like I wanted to be an underwater welder really
Yeah.
bad. That was like the main reason why I went to college. I wanted to live in the water. I like literally I wanted to be the guys that live in the fucking the tanks that are underneath, and you got to like come up every so often and everything. It's the type of personality I have. I like kind of keeping to myself, you know what I mean? And fucking he was telling me about this story, and told me about how he fucking lost his fucking the tip of his middle finger, and he was flipping somebody off, and a fucking I beam came by, swung it, and like literally batted it off his hand. Fucking, and I was like, yo, that's shit. And then I
Yeah.
was like, that's why I'm going underwater, baby. And then he was like, you see this? My teeth are all one tooth now because they fucking molded together because I swam through an electric current. Don't do it, you fucking idiot. Ever since he showed me that, dude, he told me how they had to fucking do his one guy that got electrocuted with him. his teeth fused together, and they had to take a grinder and shred his shit and cut his fucking teeth open on the spot because his like something with his sinus like shit airways was like fucking blocked up from like the because he got electrocuted underwater.
Yeah.
So fucking like there's like damage to his like actual airways. So they're trying to get him to be able to open his mouth so they could fucking shove the tube down his throat. So they fucking cut his damn teeth. Dude,
Yeah.
fucking I remember him telling me the story, made my fucking bones crawl. At that moment, I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay on the land.
Yeah. No, there was a thing that I heard about like people who do that kind of welding underwater and stuff. And if you're working on like the high pressure pipes, there's so little room for error because if there's like I forget what exactly it was, but if there's some like kind of like gap in it, that the pipe, like even if it's just like this big around, can basically like suck you in and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're done for.
Yeah, because
Like
you got to
based at
think,
that point.
like that pipe's connected to something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And honestly, there's so many things that have no room for error in that industry, and uh, like honestly, I believe that's why I was a little bit enticing at first, you know. And then you talk to people that actually live that life, and you hear what they've gone through, and their friends, you know what I mean, and learn your lesson and try to find your place more, you know.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, though, I guess there's just like kind of a pride in like the craftsmanship of it and like keeping up with all the changes in how to like better engineer everything.
Dude, the code changing, if you don't stay on top of that, like literally you're only going to be making like $16 an hour, and you're going to be like some stamp welder. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like there's a difference between like like a craftsman, like somebody that's unionized and like is a journeyman for like a steam fitter union or a ironworking union or something. And then there's a difference of just being a welder for waste management. You know what I mean? Like you're repairing their dumpsters or some shit. Like you're just a rat at that point. You
Yeah.
need to you need to understand your craft a little bit more so you can get to the artesian side of things. Because like I remember whenever I was welding, like my teacher told me if you don't have pride in your bead that's going to be sitting out for forever, don't do it. Because like you ever look at a fucking metal table and you see the welds and you're like, yo, what the fuck is that goop?
Yeah.
It's literally the rat that they're paying only $13-14 an hour to just fucking oh, that's put together, it stays, you know. But it's not the like somebody that's actually like laying beads. You could see that there's perfect fusion. You could see that like there's no tungsten contamination, for example. If you're a TIG welder, you'd understand what I mean. Because like with like higher end metals like titanium, for example, there is no room for error. For the titanium that I used to work with, I used to make the metal for surgical implants. So I would weld all the ingots and then I'd melt them down and then I'd weld them again and then melt them down and make them as pure as possible. And me doing that, I had to make sure that there would be no tungsten contamination. And there is a 0.0 allowance. So, and you get written up if you do it, and you only get 2 write-ups. And then you're canned.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, especially with implants and things like that, it's basically like the difference between someone's like survival potentially.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, also like the contaminants that are inside the stuff that doesn't get cooked out, that's like what leads to cancer. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And you're affecting people's lives in a very, very direct way. You know what I mean? And if you don't take your job seriously, it's just you're killing somebody essentially, or you're hurting someone's grandma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that might be their main person in their life, and you're shitting on somebody's shit. You know?
Yeah. So with like, being on High Times and I guess sort of like being known for being like one of, I guess for lack of better terms, like one of the weed guys in metal. Have you ever considered getting into the cannabis business like as a side thing?
Um, See, like I've gotten offers to like go work in concentrate labs, and I've gotten offers to like be a trimmer on a farm, and um like I feel like that it's just the companies trying to take advantage of me and like have me as a commodity at their area, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Yeah.
I got the singer of this band trimming my weed. You know what I mean? Like I personally, I don't got the bank to meet the requirements of what's needed to be able to get into that. I will say that I have been trying my damnedest to do collaborations with the band and companies. I was working with companies Double Bear until they decided to can their project that they were working on. Cola Farms, which that is still in development, and Nug Abductions out of Detroit. Um, and all these are pretty much going to be linked up to events that I'm going to try to put on and try to be the pioneer within the metal industry to try to push cannabis to be more acknowledged. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
just feel like that. What the fuck is the difference? There's three, say, hypothetically speaking, there's a cannabis festival. They have three stages. One stage is for reggae bands. One stage is for hip hop and R&B, and another stage could be indie music. But why can't there be a fourth stage where that's going to drive in another 10, maybe 20,000 people? Depends on who the fuck you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like to shout out a company that has been doing something for the alternative company community, Blackcraft, a name that we all know and love. They started a uh, cannabis consumption company where they are doing papers, bongs. I believe they have some Delta products. I could be wrong, but I'm not sure where they're at on that part. But a shout out to those guys because they're being a company that is coming in as a driving force, being like metal cannabis consumers are here. Quit pretending they don't exist. You know what I mean? And I would love to shout out to those guys, Blackcraft, their hometown friends, and the owner of the company started in Pittsburgh and kind of ventured his way across the country. So really stoked that they're doing it too. But back to the thing, fucking yeah, what's stopping the fourth fucking thing? Or why don't we do it by artists that are within the community, but it's more of like a levels thing. Like this one's the level of entry. There's local people, there's bands that just started touring. Then there's the veterans, and then there's the legendary stage. You know what I mean? Like there could
Yeah.
be so many different perspectives of it where it could be turned around and played around, but it's just kind of like not even acknowledged. And it kind of sucks because like you think about like Ozzy and like they're like the one song where it's like like dude smoking in the beginning and shit, you know what I mean? And it's like metal like had the cannabis introduction or they have like little stamps here and there, but they're not massively included, and it's really a bummer. Shame on you, cannabis community.
Yeah.
Oh
So
shit, my cat's joining the party.
yeah, so what kind of touring plans y'all have coming up?
Oh shit. We're about to be taking off into Europe. Gonna be doing the European festival circuit into our first ever UK headliner. Um, Supporting us is Mental Cruelty and our good friends Harbinger. We did a tour with them in the past with Decapitated, so it just like felt like a no-brainer having them back touring with us, And after that, we have the Necromantium tour with Carnifex to the Grave in the last 10 seconds of life. And then after that, we take a little break for the holidays. We have some Christmas shows lined up that aren't announced yet. I'm not allowed to say anything about that. Rolling into next year, we announced that we're going to be returning into Europe for Inferno Fest out of Norway. And we're currently in the process of trying to work out some tour stuff for that. And maybe we'll be able to do like a whole little cycle out there, talking about some headline stuff for the future throughout the whole United States. So hard doing that, I never thought how much work actually came into putting on a headliner tour. Me just like supporting bands, you know what I mean? I see it. It's just like I never actually thought about the work of going to A to B to C to D and all the way down to Z and us getting home. You know what I mean? It's a buttload of work, and appreciate my team that stands beside me and sometimes even in front of me because sometimes I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I feel like the touring has only become that much more work now, not just because of figuring out the costs of it, but also because of the way that the pandemic shook out. Like everyone wanted to hit the road at once, and so now it's just the logistics of not hitting the same towns at the same time as someone else and competing with them for attendees for the show, or not even in a case of like not having a show too close to another band that was like similar, just like a few days apart,
Dude, literally that happened to me on our release show. Whenever the record came out, we played Preserving Underground, and Pantera and Lamb of God is playing the Pavilion that's like 30 minutes away. Yeah. Fucking suit me, but the show fucking was great. We upgraded to the main stage of like one of our bigger venues of our hometown, and it was a great time. Very got to see so many friends. Everybody fucking hyped on the new record. Some people even like were just kind of going a little too nuts, and we love that energy, but we like telling people to be safe about it,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've had you for about an hour now. Is there anything else that you want to put out there? I don't want to take up too much of your afternoon.
I just want to say thank you for everybody that pre-ordered the record and bought some merch. You guys really help this stay afloat. If we didn't have you guys, we'd be shitting our pants and probably in the hole already buried. So thank you guys for supporting Signs of the Swarm's next chapter. And if you haven't checked it out, check out Amongst the Low and Empty. It's available now. Let us know what your favorite song is. We'd love to know.
And thanks for taking the time today, David.
Yeah, no problem.